When is a Mini no longer a Mini? Is it a Mini? Is it a Clubman? No, it's an Aceman. So now there's never been more versions of Mini to choose from if you want a Mini, essentially. Welcome to Nobby on Cars. Possibly not the best day for me to be filming this car for a simple reason. Sometimes technology fails. And I timed this car to charge at home last night from 12 to 4 a.m. on the cheapest rate. Woke up this morning, it had 16 kilometers. So something didn't work, whether it was the car or the charger, but I have a feeling it was the car. So we went to a public charger, and in 6 minutes charging, it cost me the same pretty much as it would have cost me to charge overnight at home. That is the huge difference between public charging and charging if you have a driveway. Anyway, back to the Aceman. There's two different power outputs, two different battery sizes. The first one starts from actually less than 40,000 euro, and the Aceman ES is about 44, and then this press car is mid-50s because it has lots and lots of packs. Now, there's the John Cooper Works trim, and there's an actual version coming, so that's a bit confusing as well. I think most people would know it's a Mini looking at it. The headlights in the Aceman are a little bit different. It's lost that roundness. What I do love when you're sitting in the car, these wings on the bonnet, they kind of remind me of Porsche, the way they just wrap around the headlights. It's a nice design. A little bit different over the front now as well. No need for grills anymore. John Cooper Works badge on the front of it. It's a good bit longer now. The wheelbase is 2.6, so there's a lot more space inside this Mini compared to previous Minis and smaller Coopers and stuff like that. But it still has a low slung stance about it. Roof rails here, more glass. It's obviously deeply tinted on this car, but gets a lot of light in between the glass roof and the extra glass in the C-pillar. You can get up to 19-inch alloys. You can get 18 as standard. I think that's where I'd leave it. I'll tell you why in a minute. They're not quite the Union rear taillights as they have been in the past. Nice boot spoiler, brake light on here. Batman vibes going on here, if you don't mind me saying so. A wiper is included. In the past, you'd have nice big loud exhausts on any type of a Cooper or an S or an Aceman or a John Cooper Works, but all gone these days. The boot also is not that Mini-like because it's 300 litres. There's even a bit of storage below the floating shelf. So compared to past Minis, which could barely be 200, the Aceman does give you a bit more space all around. I mean, it is kind of a family car that's also a Mini. I've deliberately left this seat in my driving position. I'm 5'10". I can still fit in here, and obviously if you have flexibility with the passenger seat, you've got a bit more floor space and knee space. I like that they've given you some USB charging back here. If you do need to get larger items into the car, you drop these seats, you'll have just over 1,000 litres of boot space, which again, it's a Mini, that's not bad. They say this is a 3-person bench. Really, I think it's a 2. Mini, by their very nature, always had lots of personality, lots of character inside. So this is now an OLED screen, and it has very clever stuff, sometimes a bit too clever. Like some of the apps are very BMW-like in that they go on forever and ever. You can do things like set up for a car wash, so you can have a view of how you're driving in. You can take pictures from your own personal collection, upload them to that. Even the ambient lighting will change according to the dominant colours in the picture. That's cool. There's some nice touches like these leather straps going on, Harman Kardon in this car. Lots of colour, a lot of vibrancy. I do miss the previous gen and beyond switchgear that used to be down here. That's not really as interesting as it once was. There's a good bit of space down below for chucking keys and drinks holders. These clever mini pockets are good. The heated seats, heated steering wheel. It's a very, very modern Mini compared to, well, going all the way back, but even the Mini that we've known since the early noughties. There's so much tech on board now. So this is the larger battery. It's just under 50 kilowatt hours for the net size. It says it's good for a range of 400 kilometers. There's a smaller 300 kilometer battery version also. This one and the other smaller battery and smaller output all power going to the front wheels. This is just over 200 brake horsepower. There's even a go-kart mode, which just helps the wheels spin even more when you're trying to get grip. I think overall, happy enough with the personal touches in it. It's just that thing. It just looks quite plasticky. And if you remember the little silver switches and stuff that were kind of meant to reminisce of the old original Mini, all that's kind of been removed. It may not be an obvious thing, but again, the increased size of this car means it offers a bit more overall use. So you can actually tow with an Aceman, 750 kilos. It's not a huge amount of towing capacity, granted, but it's better than a kick in the you-know-what. So 218 brake horsepower through the front wheels. It gives you a sense of torque steer, maybe that's intentional, and you know, the steering has got good feedback in it. They say that they've made the suspension to be able to have a sporty edge on it, because this is the sport trim, there's 3 different trims, but also comfort. Now, I don't really think that they've managed to get the balance on that right. The main reason is when you're on a good road, it's not bad, and it handles well, and the steering is good, and you feel involved in the drive. When you go over any sort of bumps, you're just constantly being buffeted around. And it's that constant jitter in the car that it's very, you don't get used to it. Now, I do not get car sick, but I drove this car on back roads around Chapel Izard last week. You can probably see from the camera moving a bit as well. I felt sick. So if you're going to regularly drive on bad surface roads, this is not the car for you. And even this is freshly tarmacked, but it's not properly smooth, whatever way they've done it. And the car is just constantly shaking you around. Just here, the road surface has gotten a lot smoother, and it's fine. I have found the infotainment quite clunky to use. It doesn't seem to want to pair up with your phone every time. There is a guest profile setting, and then you can have a mini login which will do things like operate cameras on the inside, and you have your account and Spotify and stuff, and Alexa, Prime, they're all kind of integrated then. But it kind of resets every time. And I'm wondering as well, is that something to do with the fact that I set up the time charge and that didn't work, but it said it on the screen that it was all tickety-boo. It said it on the charge was delayed, which would normally be the case. When it's wet, trying to get the power down to the front wheels is quite troublesome. You'll get lots of spinning. That's staying well away from go-kart mode, by the way. Yeah, traction can be an issue. There's a lot of torque going through these front wheels of the car. Now, when it's dry, you know, it means it's quick. There's a lovely urgency to it. It's not a slow car. And when you are having a spirited drive into bends, yes, it's good in that area, particularly for a heavy electric car. But the trade-off for me is just the suspension is way too choppy. You can also get a digital key with the car, so I think up to 7 different people can have access. Would you ever have 7 different people driving the one car at home? I don't know, but it's there. Best fuel I'm getting at the moment is about 19.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So that would suggest to me that you're not even going to see 300 kilometers out of a single charge at the moment. Now, it is cold, still winter/spring, but yeah, I think the 400 claimed range is a bit of a stretch. Looks great, some nice cool touches all around, but for me, it is a choppy little bus. So now more than ever, the Aceman offers you good family space if you want to go for something that has this iconic heritage about it. Not cheap when you go a little bit crazy with the extras, it has to be said. For me, the overriding issue though is the suspension. It's incredibly firm. Yes, it has the benefit of going into corners because of it, but really for the overall time you'll be using the car, I think everyone's just going to feel a little bit too seasick. And for that reason, you might be better off just going for a less sporty Countryman. Thanks very much for watching. See you in the next one.